Hello hipsters, Kris here from the podcast. Just hitting you up with a bit of information on our sponsors. We are very happy to say this season we are backed for the season by Kris and his team at 4elementswebdesign.co.uk. That's where you'll find them. You'll also find them on Twitter at 4elementsDES. What do 4Elements do? Well, if you're looking to build yourself the most hipsterish website possible, they are the guys for you. Branding, web design, marketing, video production, they're the four main elements, but they also look at so much more besides. Don't forget their tagline, beautiful websites, brands and strategic marketing solutions to take your business to the next level. Hit up Kris and his team, let them know that we sent you, and he might give you a little present. No promises, but what he will do is give you a fantastic website. So just a reminder, that is 4elementswebdesign.co.uk. And now, on with the show.
Welcome to the Football Hipsters podcast. As you can hear, your host today is Josh. Kris isn't here, unfortunately. He's off doing other duties. But tonight I will be joined by the lovely Lana. How's it going, Lana?
It's going well. And you?
Very well, thank you. We'll start proceedings by probably dealing with the worst game in England for the weekend, with the bore draw that was Liverpool Man Utd. 0-0 was the end result. Jose Mourinho came out and said that at the end he was waiting for Liverpool to make a mistake, bring on a more offensive player. Do you think that Jose is a bit too conservative with how he's playing now? Jose teams against the top 6 in their last 10 games have only scored 4 goals and only won one of those games. Is this something that the magic of the special one has gone?
Yeah, no doubt about it. As you said, his record against the top 6 at United has been really poor. And I think he's such a hypocrite, talking about how he waited for Liverpool to bring on an offensive player, and you can see what the mistakes were in the way he set up the team and what was needed. The fact that he took off Martial was really weird. But you could see that they were missing Pogba, even Fellaini to a certain degree, and there's just no creativity in that midfield. And when I saw the lineup, I knew he was going for a draw right away. You don't need a science degree to understand that. And it's classic Mourinho. He never changes when it comes to that, and he might have gotten away with it before. But, football changes. We're in a time where you need the goals to win the games, and you're not going to win the league by putting out such a poor, starting 11 and expecting them to win, and then relying on the other team to mess up so you can take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think it's odd when you've spent so much money to assemble this team and got some great creative players. I think Mkhitaryan was on the field, who was, absolutely superb against teams lower in the division for the beginning of the season, and they were creating chances, but unfortunately they were falling to Lukaku, who, I know Kris is smiling when I say this, couldn't put away the chances against a big side. But yeah, I think the less said about this game, probably the better. I think Liverpool did well for, trying to play some football against a Jose team that was, more or less parking the bus for 90 minutes, waiting for them to make a mistake. But otherwise, I think a good couple of saves from both goalkeepers, but I think that's probably the best thing to say about the game, really. Would you agree?
I want my 90 minutes back.
Yeah.
I was falling asleep at a certain point, and I was like, oh God, how can you as a United fan sit and enjoy this? I mean, as you said, they bought so many players, and it's just so boring to watch.
Yeah, so I think we won't dwell on this game before us and our listeners fall asleep if we talk about it more. So let's talk about a game which actually has some goals in it, and by golly, did it. Man City Stoke, 7 for Man City, who absolutely destroyed Stoke. Kevin De Bruyne pulling the strings in the midfield. Would you say he's the best informed player in Europe at the moment?
Maybe not in Europe, that would be a stretch, but without a doubt, maybe in England, he's probably the most informed player. He's brilliant. He's a great player to watch, and he was just amazing against Stoke. And fine, they didn't do it on a cold night in Stoke, but at least they destroyed them by 7 goals. And Gabriel Jesus was great as well. So they're just a joy to watch, and they've really, Pep has really put together this team in such a great way. And yes, they've spent money, but that's just how it is. In order to win leagues and titles, you have to spend money. That's just how football is in 2017, and will be as you go forward. And I know people talk so much about, but it's expected of them to win when they've spent so much money, but so has other teams, and they're not exactly winning and scoring tons of goals. So I actually enjoyed watching them this weekend, and it's like, why can't my teams win like this?
Yeah, absolutely. It did turn a little bit into what felt like a training ground game, because Stoke were just chasing shadows for half of it. I think the second goal, Raheem Sterling scores in the end. Just that passing move through there, and the reverse ball from Kevin De Bruyne to put Sane through for the ball across the face of the box was just a wonderful attacking move. And I think Pep has really, really got Man City purring, and I think they could blow every team away in the league, and I'd be worried if anybody comes up against them in the next couple of weeks. I think Arsenal come and see them in 2 weeks' time, so I'm not looking forward to that.
No, I don't blame you, especially considering how it went at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. But the next team that does get caught in the headlights of Man City is Napoli in the Champions League midweek.
Another team in great form. They've been amazing in Serie A. I'm worried about meeting them as a Juve fan.
Yeah, they're 2 points off the top, 2 points clear off the top at the moment.
Yeah.
I can't remember what order they're in. But they beat Roma at the weekend 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to just talk us through the game a little bit there? Because it was pretty exciting from Serie A point of view.
Yeah, it was such a disciplined performance from, Napoli. Fine, they didn't score tons of goals, but they got the 1 goal they needed and the 3 points, and now they're, as you said, 2 points clear at the top, but they've scored tons of goals. And I thought they were brilliant against Roma. They were unlucky not to score more. And I just, Lorenzo Insigne, he's just amazing. I have no words to describe how great he is. And I think they're going to go far. As we've spoken before on the podcast, we always talk about how this is Napoli's season, much like Liverpool fans do, but I genuinely think that this could be the season where they fight Juve to the end for the title, but it remains to be seen. Much like City, their biggest test will come against Napoli, the same with Napoli against City. So, I think we'll get a clearer picture of how far these two teams can go when they meet each other in Europe.
Yeah, I expect a absolutely, full-blooded attacking game in there. I have seen the chairman, De Laurentiis, who I know is very loudly spoken within the press. Yeah, I think that's the best word for it. Say that they may rest players against Man City. Could you see is the Scudetto more important to Napoli than progression in the Champions League?
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think they're going for the Scudetto. This is, we see clearly where their main focus is. But the thing is, Napoli defensively are more solid than City, in my opinion. You got to remember this is the Italian league where defense, is much better than the other leagues. Although certain teams can disagree on that. But I think that we won't see a lot of goals. I might come back to regret on this. But I think Napoli might just have the advantage due to the fact that they're defensively more solid than City are. I know some City friends of mine are going to hate me for it, but I'm sorry.
It's a big call. Big call. But we shall see. Their opponents at the weekend, Roma, I believe, travelled to Chelsea midweek for their Champions League tie. They're struggling in Scudetto, aren't they?
Yeah,
Maybe Roma.
they're fifth, sorry. Sampdoria is a point behind them, and they're actually 4 points behind Lazio, who are their rivals. So they've been struggling this season, especially with goals, and defending has been up and down. But they're scoring the goals. It's just about showing up against the big teams, and Chelsea will be a good test for them as well. Conte has experience with beating Roma, but again, Chelsea is also struggling. So it'll be interesting. There's a lot of great games coming up, and we will see just how well the certain teams will do against big teams.
Yeah, definitely. It'll also be a chance for Chelsea fans to see Nangolan at Stamford Bridge, which I know Conte has wanted to see for about 2 transfer windows. But talking about Chelsea, they went to Crystal Palace and probably had the shock result of the week, I think, in England, going down 2-1. Crystal Palace getting their first 2 goals of the season, and therefore their first 3 points for the season as well. 2-1. What the hell happened here? I know you watched the game, but
I did it solely because my brother's a Chelsea fan, and he was crying at the end, and I couldn't help myself but to laugh. I'm a horrible sister, I know. But he was like cussing out all the players, and he hated Conte and was like, the only good player is Fabregas. He's a genius. He's the best midfielder in the league. And I was like, okay, whatever. But they were just like shocking. I don't know. The thing is with Conte, he's been very unhappy with the transfer window, which again, we've touched on this before. The reason he left Juve was because he wanted sole control of the transfer window. And again, we saw this summer, he didn't get the players he wanted. Chelsea were after Llorente all summer. He ended up going to Spurs. And I think what he feels is that he doesn't have the players to build on the success they had last season. But also, they're in Europe, and we all know how Conte always struggles in Europe, although Chelsea has won. So, yeah, people will say they were struggling without Conte, and fine, he might be a okay player for Chelsea, and he might be the missing player that they need to have control of midfield, which they obviously didn't have. But they just need defensively. They're also so poor, and his choice of substituting the different players was just so odd to me. When chasing a goal, he took off. Oh, what's his name? The former Marseille player, striker.
Michy Batshuayi.
Yeah. I just heard my brother screaming in the background. Why is he taking him off when we need a goal? So I think it's evident that he's gonna go at the end of the season, if not sooner. He might go in the winter if Milan decides to fire Montella, because he's not happy, and you can see it, and it affects the team as well, and how they play. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they'll get relegated, but one can hope.
Well, as you've brought up Milan as well and the position of Montella, should we talk about the Milan derby that occurred this weekend?
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk me through it? If I remember rightly, Mauro Icardi might have turned up.
Yeah, just probably the most informed player in Serie A right now. I know some Juve fans will have me hanged for saying that he's right now better than Paulo Dybala, but oh well. But he was amazing. 3 shots on target, 3 goals, a hat trick, and it was a derby that we haven't seen so good in such a long time. And, there were goals at both ends, a great atmosphere, and the Milan are just so defensively poor. And their biggest signing this season, ironically enough, turns out to be their worst player, which is Leonardo Bonucci. Any other, had he been any other player, he would have been benched because he was at fault for both goals, in my opinion, all 3 goals. And also he's been really, really bad in other games as well. And Montella is just basically living on a prayer right now that he keeps his job, because I think he's going to get sacked. They have some hard upcoming games as well coming up, so we'll see how that goes. But losing the derby was a huge blow. So they have Juve coming up in a few weeks, Sassuolo coming up, Napoli, Torino. So these are all huge games which they look out to get the 3 points, which at this point seems so unlikely due to the fact that they're defensively really bad. And yes, they were missing players, but doesn't excuse the fact that they are not performing to the standards that they did at the start of the season.
No, they almost brought in a whole new squad over the transfer window. And I think, personally, when I saw the likes of people they were bringing in, you thought Bonucci was a coup, really, to get him from Juve.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, it was a case of whether or not Montella can get this group of players gelling properly, and I think he's got problems with that. So
yeah, I think it's also egos in the squad. It's become known that Bonucci is not someone who's easily handled, which is also the main reason for him being sold. And as you said, I don't think he's the right coach to put together this team. And there's also talks about Ancelotti coming in, which looks to be obvious that he might just come in and take over, but probably by Christmas time, if he lasts that long.
Yeah, he seems the most obvious choice to come in after being let go from Bayern Munich. It's just a case of whether or not he wants to wait around and perhaps wait for that kind of Chelsea job to come back up again if he fancies managing in England.
Yeah, it could be that Conte leaves, takes over Milan, and Ancelotti goes to Chelsea.
Yeah, or maybe Mourinho, who's been moaning about, not necessarily staying at United for much longer.
Yeah, according to...
We can only hope.
Yeah, he's been linked to PSG, much to the PSG fans' dismay.
Absolutely. I wonder why that is. But all credit to Crystal Palace, who also saw Zaha come back and played up front, which was, I think, what helped them, having that pace against that back 3 with him and Townsend, just dragged Cahill, Azpilicueta, and it was Christensen was playing at the back.
Yeah.
Just pulling them all over the place.
But that's not very hard with Cahill, though.
No, very much so. But we shall move on to the Spurs-Bournemouth game. I think people would have expected more goals in this game. I certainly did. But just a 1-0 win for Tottenham at Wembley. They've managed to put behind them the fact that they were going to end up with losing their first 4 games of the season at home. So that's good. But yeah, we've seen them really struggle at Wembley. But a goal from Christian Eriksen against a resolute Bournemouth side. I think it was one of those things that on another day Bournemouth could have got a result. How do you feel about it? I know Hugo Lloris had an absolutely great reaction save from a deflected corner.
Yeah, I just saw the save because it was being tweeted on Twitter, and I was just being bitter because he's currently on my hate list and has been for a year. But it was a great save. Credit due. But like you said, it's like the Wembley is a curse or something. They seem to genuinely not enjoy playing there compared to other teams who go there and win trophies and stuff like that. But as you said, on another day, it could have easily been a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of chances in there. Spurs welcome Real Madrid to Wembley
That should be
in
fun.
the week. That will be fun. I believe Gareth Bale was out for that game, but we'll still see the likes of Luka Modric come in, and Kroos and Ronaldo and Asensio and Isco. Can you only see one result here midweek?
Yeah. But then again, Madrid, they've been good in Europe, but they've been struggling in the league. So it could go either way. Spurs might suddenly decide to show up. But by the way, huge shout out to Eriksen. I think he's been really good this season, despite Spurs being poor. So yeah, I think he's been really good.
Yeah, I think he was really their main creative outlet throughout the season so far, especially when Harry Kane wasn't scoring. He was having to, come up with the goods as well. Because I think Ali has been woefully out of form for them as well. But I think once they get that kind of forward line properly firing, they'll start turning that home form around.
Will they be is it a strengthened team against Madrid?
I believe it's a fairly full strength team that will turn up in London. I believe Gareth Bale is the only big miss for them, but
because I know Benzema was back for Madrid.
Yeah, so you got Benzema's back, and I believe it will be Isco and Asensio that will play, and Ronaldo, of course.
Yeah, good luck, Spurs.
So it's the normal front four, and we pray for Toby Alderweireld in that game.
Yeah, and Lloris.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, I think he'll be having flashbacks to last summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to get this next game over and done with pretty swiftly. Watford, Arsenal. Another shock, I think, from
I blocked that out. I have no idea what you're on about.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have to talk about it. I'm going to try and not sound bitter during it. 2 goals from Watford, a penalty from an incident that then got checked by the diving committee. I'm not sure who's part of that FA panel.
They should be sacked.
Potentially Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, and various other blind celebrities who were part of it, and maybe Danny Murphy, who said on Match of the Day that it was definitely a penalty.
Oh, God.
And also Troy Deeney being offside in the build-up to the second goal, which Tom Cleverley scored to get all 3 points for Watford. I will have to give Watford some praise. I will have to give Watford some praise. Although, Marco Silva may have created the matchup of Tom Cleverley and Per Mertesacker for the corner that Arsenal scored from. I know needs a klaxon for that Arsenal scored from a corner. Arsenal were really poor creatively in this game, as well as Watford were defensively. Do you think they're missing someone like Mesut Ozil? I know Aaron Ramsey was rested for this game. Alexis Sanchez is, I don't know.
He's in mourning.
Yeah, insert agenda here for what you feel the reason for Alexis Sanchez was to not be in the team. Ozil only made the bench in that game, but they do look like they were missing some creativity from there. Is that the only thing that held them back, really?
No, defensively as well. They haven't been good, and you don't need to be an Arsenal fan to see that. Where do you start with this game? Like, it was so much that went wrong, and it's so easy to blame the ref, but it's Watford, and a team like Arsenal should be able to beat them, and not blame on the referee and the offsides, and because on paper they're stronger, and it shouldn't be an excuse. These are the teams that Arsenal should be walking over, but they're not. It's like before in the past they would struggle against the big teams, beat the small teams, but it seems like this season they're struggling against both. So, and I have an issue with Wenger. I never have because I love him, he's our dad. But why can't he let Lacazette finish a game? Like, why? He's not going to play in Europe. Obviously, Giroud will start, but let him finish the 90 minutes. Why take him off?
Yeah, it's been a tough one. I know Lacazette came out before the international break and said that he was still trying to adapt to the Premier League, and I think it was the pace of it rather than the physicality, because I think the physicality is also on a par with Ligue 1.
Yeah, he said he was shocked by some of the referee decisions, which I agree with him, because although the refereeing is poor in League One, it's hit harder on when it comes to diving and penalties and all that. But yeah, you're right, the pace of it, and it takes time for him to adjust, obviously. So he can be excused, but yeah, you bring on Özil, 5 minutes later you take off Lacazette, and they have such a great chemistry together, just from the few matches they've played, and it would have been nice to see them just play together and see how it could have gone.
Yeah, definitely. We do have a question about Arsenal as well that was for you, if I can find it. Yeah, from Arian H 1999. I think we've gone through what the problems are at Arsenal. How do you think they can fix it? Obviously, there's no transfer window available, so they can't go out and spend any of the money that they normally do, he says, tongue in cheek. But I don't believe it's in the dugout. What is the problem, really?
Yeah. People will say it's the manager. They'll say it's the staff and the coaching, etc., etc. But I think it's also due to the fact that certain players aren't stepping up to the level they usually play at. We don't need to mention names, but it's a certain two that will probably leave on a free next summer. I love Özil. I do. One of my favorite players, but I agree with some of the criticism he gets. He should be doing way better than he is. Alexis is... he reminds me of Ribery. Very selfish. Brilliant player, but my God, what an awful attitude he has. And it reflects so well. You can see it so well on the pitch. He can be so selfish, and it's frustrating for players around to see how he is. And fine, he's brilliant. He scores the goals, wins you a game, but it's a team sport. It's not Alexis FC, although some people would claim it is. And you just need them all to step up, which they haven't. Because it's so easy to blame Wenger, but no matter how strong of a team he puts out, he can't do anything about it if they don't show up, which they haven't. And I just hate the abuse that he's getting. Fine, some of the criticism is justified, but you need to look at the bigger picture. It's not just down to the manager and the staff. It's also that these players are getting paid so much money to do the job, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I just have to say all credit to Watford for the result and Marco Silva for engineering that as well, because he's looking to be a really, really good foreign manager in the league that, although someone like Paul Merson may tell you otherwise, has had huge success with foreign managers in there. I cannot remember the last English manager to win the league. I believe I'd have to go back. Oh, off the top of my head. Maybe, I reckon it was Blackburn Rovers, which I think was... No, I can't even think of one. Because Kenny Dalglish was Scottish, or is Scottish, still is Scottish. Alex Ferguson, yeah, I can't think of an English manager that has won the league. I'm sure our hipsters will tell me, and I'll go, I wasn't born then.
Yeah, it doesn't count then.
Doesn't count if I didn't exist.
Exactly.
But yes, he looks like a great manager and the next big one to end up at, a top 6 club. But we shall move on from that game. Say Arsenal midweek are going to Red Star Belgrade. I think you'll be happy if Lacazette doesn't travel there because he might not come back.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting game. If you thought the Cologne fans were angry, just wait till you meet the Red Star Belgrade ones. We shall
Charming bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. We shall move on to the Claret and Blue derby that occurred. Burnley drew with West Ham. Biggest talking point of the game, I think, other than the Joe Hart assist for Antonio for the West Ham goal, was probably Andy Carroll's elbows that led to him getting his marching orders. Did you see the incidents that
No,
occurred
I
with
didn't
Andy
even see
Carroll?
the game.
Let's just say Andy Carroll, he led every header he was going up for with an elbow, and arguably his second yellow could have been a straight red. Chris Wood got the other goal for Burnley. Sean Dyche doing an absolutely fantastic job at Burnley. I think there is a chance now that he could step up and go to another club, but I'm sure we'll get to which club I think he could actually be quite a good outside shout for when we get to their game. But first we shall go to another game. I'll double check if you've seen this one. Swansea 2, Huddersfield 0. Lana?
No.
That's alright, because I did see this game. Tammy Abraham, I know our hipsters of last season and across the summer will know that I was a little bit sceptical about whether or not this man would be able to make the step up from the EFL, where he scored an absolute hatload of goals for Bristol City. Still on the books of Chelsea, obviously one of the 1 million players they've got out on loan.
69 or something.
Yeah, it's something mad. But apparently, they don't have depth, according to Conte. But yeah, it was good to see a young English talent playing so well, and he looks like he's got a really humble head on his shoulders. Really dangerous for Huddersfield now. They've got United and Liverpool coming up, and I assume Jose Mourinho doesn't see them as a top 6, so he might actually attack against them, in which case we're expecting like a Lukaku hat-trick.
Yeah, stat padding against the Leicester team.
There we go.
And having United fans being like, over to you, Lacazette.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move to the Sunday fixtures. Brighton were the early fixture. They drew 1-1 with Everton. Slightly unlucky in this game. Anthony Knockaert opened the scoring for, I'd say, my hometown club.
I was cheering for them because of you.
Thank you very much. I was then despairing for the penalty decision that was given. I think it probably was an elbow by Bruno on Calvert-Lewin, and up stepped Wayne Rooney, who I believe for most of the game was getting booed. Not for any agenda that Brighton fans have against Wayne Rooney.
Just because it's Wayne Rooney.
He was rubbish. Yeah, he wasn't very good in that game and dived every so often.
Oh, what a shocker.
Probably my favourite part of the moment was Shane Duffy introducing himself, shall we say, to Wayne Rooney after he had a rather poor first touch. Shocker. He did save Koeman a lot of blushes. He, I think, could have gone after this game if they'd lost it. Everton are on an awful run of form after spending a huge amount of money. Lana, have you seen them play? And how poor they are? They're really missing a dynamic midfielder.
I turned on the game as Rooney scored the penalty, actually.
That's alright, because for any fans in England, we couldn't actually watch this game because it was being broadcast in India and no one else was showing it in the UK.
I wonder why.
Yeah, it was mad. But yes, Ronald Koeman setting up with 2 defensive midfielders against Brighton. I don't want to undermine Brighton, too much, but when you're playing against a newly promoted side, you'd expect to have more than, less than one, or less than two defensive midfielders, and have someone like Tom Davis, who, young English talent who had a good season under them last year, playing in that midfield. But otherwise, I think Koeman looks almost all out of ideas. I know Ross and James will have said they saw this of him under Southampton. He does have spells of just looking like he couldn't buy a win. Do you think Everton will, keep hold of him, or do you think that perhaps they might look to try and cut their losses and see if they can get a big name like an Ancelotti?
That will remain to be seen on Thursday when they play Lyon at home.
Yes, a team that you have vested interest in.
Yeah, and where another manager got saved by a certain Fekir, because he's also much in trouble. And a part of me was like, I hope to God that we almost lose the game so he gets sacked, but we won the game so he gets to stay, which is most like the same scenario here with Everton. When he gets points, he stays on for the next game. It's more like we'll see how it goes after each game, basically, with Everton. And with all the luck in the world Lyon has, I'm sure they're going to go on to get trashed by Everton on Thursday.
Well, you say Lyon beat Monaco, a result personally that I didn't see coming.
I think no one did.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought for a second I was misinformed about Ligue 1 when I saw that result come in. But, do you want to talk us through that game as well? Because obviously Fekir scored right at the end, but whether or not you can remember what happened after that, after your eyes crossed together and rolled back into your head.
Oh my God, what a game. It was like the only game I actually was 199% invested in, because it was like the big game of the weekend for me, despite the Milan derby and all the other games. But it was such a good game. Defensively, both teams were horrible. But Lyon opened the score. Then obviously Monaco equalized, and then Fekir scored, and then Traore with a stunning goal. Why does all the stunning goals get scored against Lyon? It's like I have this debate with myself every time someone scores a great goal. And then came the free kick in the 94th minute. And I was like, it's not going in. It's not going in. It's a tie. I'm not going to watch it. And then just the commentator exploded with me, and 3 points were saved, and Genesio gets to keep his job for another week. It was a great game.
Yeah,
I rewatched that goal like 20 times with Titanic music and without it. With Arabic commentators, French, English, and even Swedish.
And who were the best commentators?
The Arabs, no doubt. They're always the greatest commentators. Because they were like, just like screaming, God, oh my God, Fekir. And then obviously they have to mention the fact that he's Muslim and from Algeria. And then they were like, same country as Zidane. It's always important to include Zidane whenever it's an Algerian player. So it was a very entertaining game. One neutrals would have loved, and probably would have criticized the fact that no teams in League One can defend. But that's not why we watch it. We watch it because it's great talent. But it will be interesting to see how they do going away to Everton, and how the setup will be from Genesio. He can do so well against a big team, but as I've said before, we can beat Monaco and then go on to lose to Lorient or to Dijon. So I take one game at a time, because every time I get excited over a big result like this, I get let down by a Wayne Rooney penalty in the final minute.
Well, talking about Genesio, he did have a question from Dr. Mantis to Bogan at 49 unbeaten. I assume he's an Arsenal fan with a Twitter handle like that. He shares the opinion that Gienza should be replaced. And who's your ideal candidate? And is it someone from Ligue 1?
My ideal candidate would be to bring back Remy Gard. You know how much I rave about him, despite his unlucky spell at Villa. He was so great at Lyon. He's the reason the likes of Umtiti is at Barcelona, Tolisso is at Bayern, Lacazette is at Arsenal. He brought through these amazing academy players and, basically raised them to be the great players they are today. And with the new crop of players coming through from the academy at Lyon, he would be the ideal manager to bring back. Much like there's a reason he's been called Mini Wenger. He shares the same philosophy, focuses on youth, and he just would be the perfect one to bring back. But I don't know if he would be interested because he's currently a commentator. I know some of the Lyon fans I've talked to once on Ancelotti, but I'm against it because I just don't rate him as much as some people do. But yeah, Remy Gard would be my ideal replacement for Genesio.
Yeah, I'd say Ancelotti's a different kind of coach as well for what you're looking at Lyon. He's not one that really brings through many youth players as more of a kind of finisher to a top team to kind of take them to the next level rather than build a squad.
And Lyon's team are filled with youth players, especially with Tanguy Ndombele coming through as well now. He was great against PSG. I don't know if you saw the game. When we took him off, Lyon just collapsed and conceded 2 own goals. But he was great. He's been impressive, and even a few scouts have been over to watch him. I know for a fact that Arsenal were at the game, and the Juve scouts were also there to watch him. So he's definitely one to watch this season. The same with Luka Toussaint. Obviously, you have to watch Fekir, see where the next big move will be for him if he decides to leave. So it will be an interesting season, which will probably end up trophyless as usual. But I'm excited about the season because we've lost the 3 biggest players of Tolisso, Lacazette, and Umtiti, and now it's a new era with new players coming through, and it's this is the season of Nabil Fekir, and I just pray to God he doesn't get called up, because every time he gets called up, I can sense my heart just like jumping out, and there's flashbacks to the Portugal game where he got injured, and I'm like, please just don't call him up, ignore him, ignore his great form.
I say France have got enough players to call upon if they need them. Moussa Sissoko is always available.
Yeah.
Deschamps to call up if he wants.
Schneiderlin is also great. Call up Payet.
We shall move on from France for the moment. We'll go back to them to run through some other results from the weekend. But first we shall go to the other game on Sunday. Southampton playing Newcastle. It's a game of 2-2 draw. Isaac Hayden and Ayoze Perez for Newcastle scored either side of 2 Gabbiadini goals, the second being a penalty. Did you see any of this game?
Yeah, I saw some of it. I saw the equalizer for Southampton, the 2-2. I just saw it briefly just to make time pass. I know Ross won't like that, but sorry.
Yeah, it was an interesting game there. We saw one of your old friends from Juve, Lamina, who looks to really be doing great things early on in this season.
He was really good. I think he is a player that suits the Premier League way better than Serie A. So yeah, I've never been his biggest fan, even at Marseille, but as you said, he's been really good and probably Southampton's best player this season so far.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with that as well. I'm sure Ross and James on a similar thought as well. I know both of them won't be saying Buffal, that's for sure. um,
Yeah, I think Ross is still trying to figure out what his purpose in life is.
I'm sure he will come good for them eventually. I think he just needs the right manager and just get in the right shape for the league at the moment, but does seem to turn it over a little too often. With regards to Newcastle, Mike Ashley has come out today and said that he's putting them up for sale and wants them sold by Christmas.
Hasn't he done that before? Or
He's
there's
mooted at it before that he wants them sold, but I think he did say that he wanted a trophy with them first before he went anywhere.
good luck with that.
I don't think the trophy that Newcastle fans were expecting with a championship title, rather more like an FA Cup. I mean, they expected to get relegated first in order to then win a championship, but goes what it is. It was a trophy, is a trophy, and he's gone to his word. It sounds like it's a Chinese consortium. Now, I don't want to say anything towards Chinese consortiums because we've seen good ones and we've seen bad ones in the Premier League, and Mike Ashley wasn't always the best manager. Or owner, should we say, for Newcastle. Do you think it would be good for a bit of stability for them to finally cut loose of Mike Ashley and hopefully that soap opera can end? Or do you think it's always a soap opera for Newcastle?
It wouldn't be Newcastle if it wasn't a soap opera. But a bit of stability would, I think, benefit them a lot, especially the fans. I think they're not dealing so well with all the soap opera. But yeah, bringing in a Chinese investor or a buyer would probably be the smartest solution, and just getting rid of him. He doesn't seem to be invested in this club whatsoever. It was for me. It just looks like it's a hobby he has when he needs one.
Yeah, he is a fan of the club. Always has been, but I think it's got to the point now where he can cash in on his investment, and hopefully that means that's what keeps Rafa Benitez there as well, because he's doing a great job for them.
Yeah, he has been getting a lot of praise. So I think Liverpool fans want him back.
Yeah. After hearing some of them the weekend about Klopp, they are kind of losing the. He's lost his gloss, I think, with some of the fans.
Most of them, based on my timeline.
We shall move on to the last game of this round of fixtures, which was played this evening. I know you won't have seen this because you were travelling at the time.
Yes, I was on a train from Norway to Sweden.
So yeah, Leicester City played West Brom. It was a 1-1 draw. Biggest highlight of the game would be Nacer Chadli's free kick from about 30 yards. That was a really great goal. It was another. Is he another player from Ligue 1?
Yeah, him and Mahrez, both of them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think both of them are also from Algeria, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. No, Chadli might be Moroccan.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get so much abuse from the my Moroccan
Mahrez
followers.
was. Oh god, this is now if I've been listening to Kris.
Mahrez is Algerian.
But which club he played for?
Lille? No, Montpellier.
I want to say it's Le Havre. I wouldn't have guessed that in a month of Sundays. That it was Le Havre that he came from. But yeah, he came in whilst they were in the lower divisions, actually displacing Anthony Knockaert before he went off to Belgium.
Stadley's from Belgium.
Is he? For God's sake. I should have known that.
But I think he originally is from Morocco. He sounds Arabic, so he must be.
No, place of birth, Liège. That's pretty Belgian to me. I
Yeah, but his
apologise to
name
all
is...
our Belgian listeners
No, he
and
is
all our
Moroccan.
Moroccans. Is he
He's,
Moroccan?
yeah, Moroccan heritage.
There we go. I
So,
knew
nice one.
it was in there somewhere. So
Our
that
geography
rubbish
isn't that bad.
No, I knew there was some rubbish information in the back of my brain, and there it is for everybody to see. So that was it for the Premier League and that round of fixtures. We will quickly dive into the EFL before Kris will make a special appearance and we'll do our Euro roundup. And then, Lana, I'll come back to you for a bit of chat about the rest of Europe and some more fixtures that we want to talk about that Kris has not covered.
Sweet.
So you will get to listen to me talk about EFL, and we will start with Wolves, who beat Villa to go top of the Championship. Some breathtaking football that's now being played down at Molineux this season. I would recommend anybody who gets a chance to see Wolves play to do so. Bolton Wanderers were the other team this season, this weekend, that broke their scoring duck, as well as Crystal Palace, who they ended their 640-minute goal drought and got their first win of the season versus Sheffield Wednesday. Sunderland still waiting for a home win in 2017 after a 1-1 draw with QPR. Although there is some good news as they saw Duncan Watmore come off the bench, start a game, make his long-awaited return after 10 months out following a crucial ligament injury. But it could be a season. I think we had a question about this from Tom at 5-Star Flips. That I think this season they should be able to stay up. I don't expect them to go down, but they could be in a relegation battle. But looking around the rest of the leagues, Shrewsbury are still unbeaten, but would have broken a couple of people's accumulators as they drew to the basement side in Plymouth Argyle, and they shared the spoils with a 1-1 draw. Managerless Oldham kept their 100% record without a permanent appointment in the dugout, with victory over Blackburn Rovers. It's more worrying for teams that have been relegated, Sunderland and Blackburn losing, not getting the result they wanted this weekend. And Wigan taking the top spot. They got a 3-0 win at Southend United. Southend decided, Phil Brown, their manager, decided that they would walk the 25 minutes from the train station to the stadium as part of their preparation. I think, Phil, next time, get a taxi or the bus, because losing 3-0 after probably tiring your players out getting to the stadium wasn't a great idea. There was another team in England that scored 7 this weekend. Luton Town put 7 past Stevenage, who could only reply with the 1 goal, which also brought in the Hatters' 1000th EFL home win. Nathan Jones's side have now netted 30 goals already in just 13 games. And finally, Exeter and Notts County sitting top of League 2 at the moment, even though Luton are putting a shed load of goals through. So that's the roundup from the EFL. Well, I shall pass over to Kris now. This was a bit we pre-recorded before the show. So over to you, Kris.
Thank you, Josh, and good evening, or good morning, afternoon, listeners, wherever you are. As you've probably gathered from the show already, I'm not here tonight as I'm working hard on other projects. No, I'm not. That's a complete lie, but I'm not available tonight. However, I am here to give you the best of the headlines from around Europe this week. We start in Italy, and I'm sure Lana is chomping at the bit to talk about this one. Juventus surrendering a very, very long unbeaten home record. Of course, if I'd have done my due diligence, I'd have told you how many games, but it's an awful long time, and that record has come to an end with a 2-1 victory for Lazio, who were the visitors to the J Stadium. Douglas Costa putting them in front, Juventus that is, but a brace from Ciro Immobile and an incredible, dramatic 96th-minute VAR-awarded penalty, which was missed by Paulo Dybala, secured Lazio with a memorable victory at Juventus. So that run is over. Another big game on Saturday. We talked about it last week's pod. A 1-0 victory for Napoli. Lorenzo Insigne with a delightful crisp finish against Roma's Brazilian goalkeeper Alisson after quite a fortunate deflection fell into his path, secured all 3 points for Maurizio Sarri's men. Elsewhere in Serie A, wins for Fiorentina, Bologna and Sampdoria at home. Crotone Torino playing out a 2-2 draw, while Genoa picked up a 3-2 victory away in Cagliari. Sassuolo and Chievo played out a very dull 0-0 draw, which I had the misfortune to watch the full 90 minutes of. That's what happens when you're a hipster, boys and girls. And of course, on the big game of the weekend, excluding the Saturday fixtures, was Inter versus AC, the clash of the Milans. And what a fantastic game this was. A hat-trick from Mauro Icardi, including a quite stunning side-on scissor-type volley. It's just absolutely stunning. If you haven't seen it, boys and girls, please do check it out. Icardi put Inter in front before Suso equalised shortly after the break. Icardi's memorable scissor kick volley for 2-1 before a Handanovic unfortunate own goal as the ball struck the post from a Bonaventura shot at the far post, came back off the goalkeeper's head and into the net. But then drama upon drama, as all Milan derbies have it. Icardi's 90th minute penalty with ice in his veins, he strode up, sent Donnarumma the wrong way, and scenes of jubilation for Luciano Spalletti's men as Inter Milan stride on. I will, of course, let Josh and Lana give you some heads up on where that leaves people in tables. I'm sure they'll have some time to talk about that. But that was the stories from this weekend in Italy. Hellas Verona and Benevento is the other result missing from that roundup. They play later tonight. Let's move over to Germany next for the Bundesliga, starting, of course, with the big game that we highlighted, and what a game it was. Borussia Dortmund 2, RB Leipzig 3, a real shock to Peter Bosch's Dortmund system. A 3-2 win for Leipzig, including goals for Sabitzer, Poulsen and Jean-Kevin Augustin, the signing from PSG in the summer. A red card also for Il Sanka in that game. Papadopoulos also saw red for Dortmund, who had Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to thank for their 2 strikes, but it wasn't enough. And Dortmund fall at home to the improving Leipzig. Stuttgart got the weekend off to a victory on Friday with a 2-1 victory over Cologne, winning goal there in the 90th minute from Akolo. Bayern Munich, well, it's like they've never been away. 5-0 victory over poor old Freiburg, including a goal for Thiago Alcantara in that one. Very comfortable victory, has to be said. Hoffenheim and Augsburg playing out a 2-2 draw. Hertha BSC losing at home to Schalke, who seem to be on the up with a 2-0 win there. Hamburg lose again, no surprises there, 3-2 at home away to Mainz. Hanover, rather surprisingly though, losing at home to the mighty Eagles. Eintracht Frankfurt coming away with a 2-1 victory, including a goal from one of Ross's favourites, Sebastian Aller, and an 89th minute winner from Rebic. Good result that for the Eagles. And on Sunday, 4 goals were shared out between Bayer Leverkusen and Wolfsburg. A 2-2 draw there. Divock Origi on the score sheet for Wolfsburg, and Alario and Bender for Leverkusen before Blaszczykowski scrambled the point for Wolfsburg. And Borussia Mönchengladbach, John will be happy, Lars Stindl and Yannick Vestergaard securing them a 2-0 away win in Bremen. That's Germany. Over to Spain in Joel's absence. The main sort of the big 3 in action, as you'd probably be aware. There was a clash between the top sides in Barcelona, going to the Wanda Metropolitano Stadium in Atletico Madrid, playing out a 1-1 draw. The opening goal from Saul, a crisp strike from the edge of the penalty area, after some neat build-up play before Luis Suarez, who's been a little bit off colour in recent times, notched an 82nd minute equaliser to share the points. Earlier on in the day, Real Madrid had put the pressure on with a 2-1 victory over Getafe, a late winner for Cristiano Ronaldo after Jorge Molina thought he'd secured a point for Getafe. However, it wasn't to be, and that man came up gold once again, or diamond if you've seen his new boots. Espanyol and Levante played out a 0-0 draw on Friday, and Athletic Bilbao secured a 1-0 victory over Sevilla in the early game on the Saturday. Deportivo Alaves falling to the much improved Real Sociedad by 2-0. Goals for Orzabal and Elizondo in that one. Eibar and Deportivo played out a 0-0 draw on the Sunday fixtures, before Girona and Villarreal played out an entertaining 2-1 victory for Villarreal. 2 goals for Christian Bakambu there, the second in particular a lashed finish. Former Middlesbrough man Christian Stuani on the sheet for Girona. Malaga, they continue to look in all sorts of problem. I don't know whether Michel has been sacked at time of recording this, but if he hasn't, he certainly soon will be. At least that's the speculation in Spain, as Malaga fall to yet another defeat. Leganés, though, absolutely flying up to 6th in La Liga, only conceding, I think they've got a goal difference of +4. I think I'm right in saying they have 5 or 6 clean sheets already this season. Incredible for the newly promoted side. Goals there from Gabriel and Szymanowski with the winners there. And then finally on the Sunday night, an absolute barn burner. Real Betis 3, Valencia 6. Yes, that's 6. Jeffrey Kondogbia, Gonzalo Guedes, Rodrigo and Santimina fired Valencia 4 up before Joel Campbell, remember him? Antonio Sanabria and Christian Tello getting it back to 4-3, and the comeback was on only for Simone Zatza and Andreas Pereira, the former Manchester United man, notching an impressive 6-3 win for Valencia, who appear to be reborn. Whisper it quietly. And finally, Las Palmas play Celta Vigo in the evening kickoff on the Monday night at time of recording. Just the one league to go, the best league in the world, of course, that is France. Okay, fine, you didn't believe that, but nevertheless, it was an entertaining weekend in France with goals galore. We don't say that very often. Monaco and Lyon in the Stade de Lumière, as I shall continue to call it, got us off to a fantastic start on Friday. A belting game of football where Nabil Fekir's last-minute free-kick winner really did get the party started in Lyon. I'm sure Lana will have plenty to say on this one later on, so I will not steal her thunder, but I do love Nabil Fekir. Fantastic game. Also included a goal for Mariano Diaz, Ronnie Lopez and Traore with an absolute screamer for Monaco. 3-2 victory for the home side. PSG just about got the job done away in Dijon. Thomas Meunier, the unlikely hero, with 2 goals, including a last-minute winner after Benjamin Janot, if you haven't seen this, do look it up, scored an absolute rocket in the 87th minute. Thought they'd secured Dijon a point, only for Meunier to score a scrappy winning goal at the other end. But please do look up that Janot goal. It is terrific. Elsewhere in Liga, Cardinal Angers 2-0 victory to Toko Ekambi back on the score sheet once again there for Angers. More problem for Marcelo Bielsa, a 2-2 home draw with Troyes. Pressure intensifies there, including a 90th minute penalty equaliser for Nian, costing them the victory after Araujo and Mendes had put Lille 2-1 up, having been behind early on. Also, Guingamp with a 2-0 victory over Rennes, which at time of recording seems to have cost Christian Galtier his job at Rennes. Again, I'm sure Lana will have a little bit on that for us, but the early suggestion is both president and manager are likely to be sacked. St Etienne playing Metz, 3-1 victory for St Etienne. Lever coming away with a terrific victory there. 3 goals at home for St Etienne again, whatever next. Toulouse also with a 1-0 win over Amiens. Bordeaux and Nantes played out a 1-1 draw on Sunday. And Montpellier, rather surprisingly, winning over a Nice side looking a little bit out of sorts at the moment. Really struggling. A wonderful goal from Stéphane Sessegnon, which West Brom fans may or may not remember, probably not now, and Benza with the second goal securing the points. And finally in Liga on Sunday night, Marseille and Strasbourg playing out a fantastic 3-3 draw. Marseille continue to not be able to defend for Toffee, but always have the option when it comes to attack. Dimitri Payet with the opener, Alou with the equaliser, Bakary Kone on goal put Marseille back in front before the same man, Kone scoring Strasbourg's 2-2 goal before Leonard putting Strasbourg 3-2 up. All was looking good and then Mitroglou for the 88th minute. Yes, that is Kostas Mitroglou, former Fulham legend, or not, with an 88th minute equaliser. Tough on Strasbourg, who really did battle hard, but ultimately came away with nothing. So that is your very quick 10-minute whistle-stop tour around Europe. I shall now hand the show back to Josh and to Lana. I'm sure they're keeping you all in good company this evening. So thank you to you all for your questions. Any of those questions that we don't get time to answer this week, we'll do our best to pick up on next week. And my thanks to the guys for hosting the show. And keep it locked to the Football Hipsters podcast, because there's still plenty more to come.
Thanks, Kris. Lana, there's a couple of fixtures that we wanted to talk about that we didn't get to in the main bit. Juve and their game. I know.
Really?
We've got to do it.
Fine.
So they played Lazio, didn't they?
Yeah, we seem to always lose to Lazio.
So yeah, talk me through it. It was a 1-0 loss.
No.
Was it not?
Lazio won 2-1.
2-1. Oh.
Immobile double. It was so bitter. Oh my god. Where do we start? Well, we can start with the fact that our midfield is trash, and our front three was Douglas, Costa, Fadi, and Mandzukic. For those who don't know who Fadi is Gonzalo Higuain. And yeah, back for the normals, Buffon, and midfield was Sami Khedira, Bentancur, and everyone's favorite, Blaise Matuidi. We were just arrogant. That's it. And that's been an issue with us in the past, where we got into games assuming we're going to win. Defensively, we were not so good. We got overrun in midfield, which has been the case of us going 2 steps forward, 4 steps back when it comes to strengthening the squad. Everyone knows we were after midfielders all summer, and we failed to, close the deal with Tolisso, hence bringing in Matuidi. Marquisio's been injured. Khedira is not someone who's always fit, and we just lack that, power figure in midfield, which we really, really need. And it's a worrying sign to see us struggling in the league. Obviously, teams struggle. It's not like we're unbeaten, but if we put up a performance like this against someone like Lazio, no disrespect to Lazio, they were great. They deserve the win. But if we come up with a stronger team like Napoli, likes of Madrid, City, we're going to get destroyed, no matter how good our defense is. Because if you can't control the midfield, you're going to have the likes of Ronaldo, Insigne, Gabriel Jesus just destroying us completely. And it's a worrying sign, and I genuinely hope that we do go out and bring someone in January, because we've been screwing out for a midfielder ever since Pogba left, Arturo Vidal, Pirlo, and despite the fact that we have a great attack, it doesn't matter if you're missing crucial pieces in midfield. And for a club that wants to continue their success in Europe, it's just so baffling to me that we don't bring in the key players that we need to, finally put the puzzle and make it complete. And it's been my issue with the club actually for over a year now, and I'm still bitter about the fact that we missed out on Tolisso, scouting him for so long only to go out and bring in Matuidi. It genuinely bothers me, and I will never stop saying it. But yeah, all creds to Lazio. Immobile was great. He's been in a great form for Lazio, who's doing really well. And they're, I don't know, fourth They're level on points with Juve. Juve are ahead on goal difference, which says a lot about how poor Juve has been, compared to the standards they've set in the last 6 years. And I get that, maybe winning the league and the cup might be becoming boring, but it's still an important, feat to go on and win 6 consecutive titles. And I do want the 7th, just because I'm greedy and I want it.
So I do have a question. I've got a couple of questions actually for you on Juve. One from our listener, Michael Filetti, who's at Mike Filetti. So it's got the question of what do Juventus need to do to win the Scudetto this season? Now, from what I've watched of Serie A over the couple of years where Juve have won it, so they generally start quite slowly at the season. Is this poor form that we've generally seen from them gone on a little longer than normal, or is it about right when they then start to kick on in the next couple of weeks?
Yes and no. I mean, I remember Pirlo's last season where we started off really poorly. I think we were like 17th, and people were talking about finally seeing Juve getting relegated again. And the turnaround match was the derby against Torino with the last minute free kick from Pirlo, and that was after the first international break. We've had 2 now, and we haven't even been impressive in Europe. We got trashed by Barcelona. I don't think we've been convincing against the other teams in the group. And fine, it's still early, and I'm probably going to be called a spoiled Juve fan for saying this, but considering the experience we have, the players we have, we should be doing way, way better. We're 3rd in the table when we should be on top. And that's not me being arrogant or anything, but we are the best team in Serie A, or were. We should be dominating no matter how many titles we've won. And we're not. And currently, there's 2 teams better than us. And that's just stating the obvious. And yeah, I'm semi-jealous of Napoli because they're so great. And the type of football they play, that's how I want Juve to play. And it's just so annoying to watch us struggle when I know we're capable of so much better.
Yeah, so you've got is it Sporting Lisbon that you play?
Yeah, going to Portugal, my favorite country. Yeah.
They're coming to you from what I can see.
Yes.
Yeah, they're playing away. They are currently 2nd in their league at the moment, with Porto topping it. Should be an interesting game, I think, that one. Juventus are slightly more open, I think, this season than they have been in the last. However, I think this could be the game in the Champions League that definitely helps you out, because Sporting haven't been great in it at the moment.
Yeah, we're level on points.
Yeah.
They're ahead on the fact that they've conceded 1 goal less than us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is so depressing to watch.
Well, hopefully you can turn around that goal difference. And you were saying the midfield isn't great, so I had one other question. Emre Can, is that an option that you would take? I wouldn't say over Blaise Matuidi, because I think you'd take one of those things they use for free kick practice over Blaise Matuidi in your midfield. But Emre Can, what do you reckon? Because he's been mooted as the player that they want, and they were chasing him in the summer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against him. I think it wouldn't be a player that Juve have had, because we're, so used to having workhorses, and the last creative player we had was Pogba. So to just get that creativity in midfield would be so nice. And I wouldn't be against it, because we need a player of his style of play in our midfield. Obviously, as much as I am against Matuidi on some points, he is still working extremely hard and he is that workhorse that Juve needs because of the formation we play and the style of football. You will always need that type of player. You had that in Vidal, and you got that now in Matuidi, but you need someone like Emre Can to come in just to relieve pressure off the other midfielders we have. Not that there's so many of them. But as I said, we need depth in the midfield. So I just hope to God that we bring someone in.
So I'll move away from Juve. We have a question about Atalanta. Did you want to talk about their game against Samp beforehand?
Did they played Sampdoria, didn't they? Did they?
Yeah, they lost on the Sunday.
Yeah, Sampdoria are
3-1.
Yeah, Sampdoria has been like on and off on their form, so they got totally trashed by Sampdoria, who's been doing pretty okay so far. They
they're
managed
level
to
with
get
Roma, which to me says one of them's having a good season, or the other one's having a poor season.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't see the game actually, but Atalanta's they're a great team to watch with, some exciting players. But they've been the last few games, barring the one against Crotone, they've drawn or, lost. So I like them, as I've said before. They have some great players in their squad. So, the likes of Josip Ililic, Juve's Loni, Spinazzola, and of course Caldara, because I saw the question was some of the young prospects. Two of them are on loan, because Juve have a tendency to loan out players, much like Chelsea does. I think we top them in terms of how many players we have out on loan.
That's kind of a like a legacy thing from the old
lady.
Well, I was going to say of holding, part owning of players that has now been taken out of Serie A. I think that's just a leftover, isn't it? Because there was always a case if you look through any Serie A team and some other team has some kind of percentage of a player that's there, and I think they basically went round and bought out everybody.
Yeah, they either sold or just bought out the ones they wanted to keep. And Caldara and Spinazzola are two players that they wanted to bring back this summer, but Atalanta were like, nope, we're keeping them, which I think was a good choice from them, because they've been really impressive for Atalanta, and they've done well in Europe, beat Everton 3-0 at home. I think they play Lyon again at home soon, so it'll be interesting to see how they do continue they're currently 12th in the table. But as I said, the season is still young. It remains to be seen if they can keep up their form from last season, which saw them end up in Europe, which was a great achievement for them.
Yeah, it looks like they're almost targeting Europe this season rather than league form, as it's a new conquest for them.
Yeah.
But is there any other things you wanted to talk about in Serie A, or should we move on to the other business in Ligue 1?
Moving on
to Ligue 1 then. And you want to talk a little bit about Marseille?
It's always fun to talk about Marseille, isn't it?
Well, as a Lyon fan, I'm sure you love it even more.
Yeah, I do.
I do.
Especially when they struggle, which they did against newly promoted Strasbourg, which I think most people have heard of due to our dad, Wenger.
Absolutely.
But they were defensively. They went from losing in Europe to beating Nice 4-2 to drawing against Strasbourg away 3-3. The Dimitri Payet, Sanson, and Mitroglou with the goals. Strasbourg were unlucky to concede 2 minutes before full time because I thought they were having a really good game. And, but wow, Adil Rami is defensively. I don't know what his purpose in life is because he can't defend. I don't know what he's doing. Rolando wasn't even better. And Mandanda conceding 3 goals against someone like Strasbourg was just poor. And their midfield, I didn't think that Payet was that impressive. Yes, he's come back from injury, but he's still been really, really poor. And I saw in L'Equipe that he got a 3, which was generous by their standards. Clinton Ng, who's been scoring goals for them, was equally poor. I think their only positive player who's also been in great form, I hope to God no Lyon fans are hearing this, is Florent Toivonen, who's substituted, but he's been good for them. He's been scoring. I think he's the French player that's created and scored the most goals and chances this season so far. I don't know if that says more about him or the fact that the French players have been struggling. You decide that, Josh.
From what I remember of his Newcastle career, he was up there with the most YouTube player known to man. Up there with Remy Cabella. It was a thing between the two of them and of who could make the greatest YouTube compilation and fool people into them actually being good players.
Yeah, they were hyped up. I don't know if it was more about from League One or the fact that Newcastle fans tend to hype up their players.
I think it was a Ligue 1 thing, to be honest.
Yeah, we have a tendency to do that.
The fact that they YouTube very, very well, we'll put it that way.
Yeah, but they're currently 4th, level with Saint-Etienne in the table. Lyon are 1 point behind. They're actually 2 points behind Monaco with 19 points. So it's up for grabs for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place at this point. I think PSG will run up with the title. All props to, that's Monaco's fault for selling them Mbappe. So no one cares about first place anyway in League One. It's all about the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. PSG are like playing in their own league in Qatar, so.
It's true. If Jose ends up there, maybe he'll continue doing that for a while longer.
God, please don't.
There was a sacking that I believe Kris talked about, but I think he got his names in a twist. It was Gourcuff that is going?
He's going. The president of Rennes is going, and Gourcuff will follow after, which I think has been coming for a while now. They're 15th on the table with 6 points in 9 games. So I don't think Rich is having such a good time as a Rennes fan. And they've just been struggling a lot. They've won 2 games, I think. That's about it. They lost to Guingamp at the weekend. Lost to Caen before that. Drew against Saint-Etienne. So, we'll see how it goes. But Gourcuff is going. There's talks about former Saint-Etienne manager Galtier taking over. He had great success with Saint-Etienne, so I think he will be a good appointment for them. So we'll see. It's a shame to see Gourcuff leaving, mostly because I love the father-son duo. So, but yeah, we'll see how it goes on that front, if he can take them further up or get them relegated.
It's going to be one of those things of will Gourcuff Jr. still be in the team after Daddy leaves as manager, as you normally see at youth level, that when Daddy leaves the player stops.
I don't think he's even in the squad. I think he's injured again, probably from walking his dog.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised if he is injured. The poor guy can't get a break. Well,
No.
he can, but not that kind of break. we have one last question. If there's anything else you want to cover in Ligue 1, or I'll go into this last question.
Yeah, should with the question.
Okay, it is from my namesake, Josh at Josh Robinson 87. I think we had a similar question to this last week. I just want to adapt it a little bit because we'll have. So basically, Josh loves Serie A.
Just to be clear,
yeah,
you're not talking in third person here.
I'm
You're
not
not doing
talking
as
in third
Zlatan.
person. No, I'm not doing as Latan for once. Yeah, and would rank it first among the leagues: German, French, Dutch, and Spanish leagues. What is your favourite league out of that list? And it said, "What's your worst league?" But I think it's a bit too harsh because you're going to say Spanish, and we know that already. And I'm going to sit on the fence and not answer worst league because there's some, everybody likes their own league, but there's not one that's worse than the others because it's all different styles of football.
Yeah, I think
So-
it's just down to what you prefer
Yeah.
as a fan.
Yeah. Which is your favorite? I'm assuming it's Ligue 1
Yeah, obviously.
this week.
This week it
until
remains to be
Lyon
seen.
lose. Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at the fixture list yesterday and I was like, oh, for the love of God. I love, torturing myself. So I was like, oh, let's go through the fixture list for Lyon. And I was looking at the one in January, I think it's from January 20th because I was like, yeah, I wonder who they play on my birthday because it's always they always play the Rhone Derby on my birthday. So like, okay, let's go look, and it can't be that bad. And so I go in and check from January 12th to February 24th. And from January 20th, they play PSG away, Bordeaux away, Monaco away, Rennes at home, Lille away, and Saint-Etienne at home.
So some easy fixtures coming up then for them.
Yeah,
I have to say, next week, which falls on mine, you have a slightly easier game. I believe, away to Troyes. Is it Troyes?
Yeah,
Is it Troyes? I could say Troyes, and you just go, ugh, heathen.
please. First we play Everton away, and then Troyes away.
That's Troyes on the day before my birthday.
Yay! Hopefully the boys will give you a win.
That's not the team I'm looking for the win for. I will be at the NFL that weekend. I'm hoping that the Rams will do me good.
Yeah, I forgot you gave up on football.
Yes, if Arsenal lose again, I will be becoming a full-blown American football fan. But but without further ado on that, I think that probably wraps up the podcast for this week. Just to say thanks for joining me, Lana. Not sure where everyone else is, but it was great to have you here.
Having me, it was a good one to host tonight with you.
Thank you very much. And with that, I say to everyone, keep your glasses strong and your beards trendy. I think that's what Kris signs off on. We've been the Football Hipsters, and good night.